Welcome to Dodgers Daily. Casey Porter here, joined by a very special guest today, right-handed pitcher in the Dodgers organization. Joe Kelly joins. First of all, Joe, you're from Southern California. Doesn't quite get humid like this in Southern California, does it?
No, it's definitely a different feel out here. For a guy that doesn't like the sweat, it's the wrong place to be. I'd rather pitch and it's 17 degrees rather than 90. So, but it's all part of the process, and it's part of the rehab progression and a couple of those steps that you have to overcome before you're obviously game ready back in the big leagues.
Talking to D-Mac about you, actually just yesterday when I saw that you're in rehab here in Oklahoma City, he says you're big into skateboarding. So talk about that. Talk about your background into that. Some of your favorite skateboarders.
Yeah, skateboarding is probably my second favorite thing. Growing up, it was my first favorite thing to do. If you look in my house, there's usually boards laying around. There's a board, in each one of my vehicles. You never know when you want to skate. It's kind of hard, obviously, with our profession to really skate and be aggressive and do things that you really want to do, obviously because you don't want to get hurt. So when I retire, it's going to be one of those things where, most people get country club memberships. I'll probably get a skate park for the next, 20 years, however long I could skate before my body gives out. But, extreme sports is something that I like to do. And like I said, being a professional athlete, you're not really supposed to do them. So once I retire, extreme sports will be the thing for me. Especially growing up, some of my favorite skaters, I was more of a street guy, but if I had to go vert, obviously Tony Hawk. I was a big Chad Muska guy. Some of the younger guys, Paul Rodriguez, Ryan Sheckler, all these guys who kind of paved the way into skating. So it's definitely one of my passions and something that I look forward to when I'm done playing.
Let's ask a real serious question here. You're a big part of the 2020 World Championship team. Hey, the rumor is out there it's a shortened season, COVID. Is that a legitimate championship?
I would say, of course it is. It was the first year of the expanded playoffs, and it was the only year in my entire big league career where the number one overall seed had to play in pretty much a wild card series, a 3-game set. We played the Brewers at home, and those are tricky. It's baseball. At any given time, a couple pitchers could shut down an offense, and at any given time, one hitter could get hot, and then you lose a short series like that. Fortunately enough for us, we were obviously able to win and move on to the Arlington, the bubble. But like I said, I think it was definitely harder given the circumstances with how many extra teams there were. Obviously, all the protocol we had with COVID, but it's something for fans to talk about who aren't Dodger fans. Obviously, right. to say that it doesn't count. Well, then why do we play baseball that season if it didn't count? So as players, obviously, it counts just as much. And you could obviously argue that it was even harder than any other year given the circumstances of the added teams.
Absolutely. Okay, so you end up with of course, you're with the Dodgers. You win the World Series. You go to Boston. You come back to LA, and it just seems like with this Los Angeles organization, it just kicks you into a different gear as far as the type of pitcher you are. So, what is it about this Dodgers organization that brings out the best in Joe Kelly?
Well, we have great, staff from top to bottom, and obviously they, do continuous work daily to help guys, be them and do what they can to be successful. And I think that's a big part of the Dodgers pitching philosophy and success is where you obviously have all the numbers and say what's good, what's bad, but they kind of minimalize all the outside noise of if you're good at one thing, why not just do it until the hitter makes an adjustment. And I think that's where I've shined best is here. They let me be myself. You could be very methodical on pitching mechanics and say, hey, your mechanics are off this way, but if you're going to get 3 outs and competing out there and doing your job, I think that's what the Dodgers philosophy is where my arm slot or my mechanics could have been a little bit different that day, but as long as I get 3 outs and they see me competing is kind of what they, I would say, not enforce, but kind of like remind me of what makes me good, and it's going out there and messing with timing, creating different pitches, creating different counts or leverages that most pitchers would throw one pitch in and I do the opposite. So it's just one of those things where they try to let me be as athletic as I can on the mound, and that's what usually for myself especially I have more success with.
So we're in rehab now. You made a rehab outing in Rancho, and then last night you came back with Oklahoma City and threw a couple of pitches. So is it just simply a matter of just getting feel back? Is there any results to it? Is it all just about staying healthy? What's the goal each time you take them out rehab-wise?
The goal is obviously to come out healthy. That's number one. Number two is obviously get your timing right with your mechanics and your pitches and everything like that. There's a bunch of boxes you have to check, whether it's, pitching, back-to-back days. Like tonight, I'm going to be able to get in there again.
Good, tonight.
Pitching 2 out of 3 games is what I did with Rancho. So there's all these steps that's really where you have to take, and this is part of the process of rehab. Obviously, you want results, but as long as your pitch quality's there, the stuff's there, the health is there, you kind of live with that, and then tinker along the way if you have to, if you're really off mechanically. Sure. But if there's nothing glaring, it's a matter of fact of getting your outings in and coming out healthy and get ready to pitch.
Without giving up too much, obviously. How close do you think you are?
Pretty close. I mean, if there's games during All-Star break, I'll probably be ready then, but most likely right after the All-Star break.
Last question for me. Iconic Red Sox organization. You've been in major leagues forever. Is there a difference between the cultures and the developmental systems between organizations, or is that real? We always hear about the Dodgers developmental system and culture.
Yeah, there's a difference between teams that win and lose. Teams that consistently win their division or go to the playoffs year in and year out. There's not much of a difference. There's probably very similar things that each organization does. But the most glaring differences are between teams that win year in year out versus teams who never make the playoffs. And it starts from the bottom, like here in the minor leagues, and the quality of coaching you have. And I think throughout the minor leagues, that obviously I believe that we as a Dodger organization do the best job of preparing guys to get to the next level. And some minor leagues care about winning minor league games, but our organization is about just preparing each guy for the next level, and be ready when they get called up. So I think we do the best at that. And like I said, the caliber of coaches we have for hitting or pitching, or head coaches, managers, I'd say from top to bottom, no one has better.
Mariachi Joe, do you still skateboard?
Oh yeah.